Ayubowan. You are welcome to Jathika Pasala, the General English program through the national television. In today's lesson, I hope to discuss about the writing strategies. I hope that you can remember in a previous lesson, I taught you writing strategies. In today's lesson, I will be teaching you the writing strategies. For your question paper, for general English question paper, you may need to write a summary, a letter, as well as an essay. I hope that today's lesson will be helpful for you to develop the writing strategies. Akila, would you mind telling me what do you write often?
Letters for friends, letters to officers, essays and paragraphs.
Yes. Letters, there are two types. Informal letters for our friends and relations, formal letters to officers, the principals, as well as we write reports, sometimes the minutes of a meeting, sometimes we write articles to the magazines as well as to newspapers, and we write autobiographies, information about oneself, and also we write notices to inform others. Yes, will you repeat? What do we write?
Letters.
We write letters,
Reports,
yes,
articles, autobiographies, notices.
and notices. And why do you write? Why do you write?
Pleasure,
Yeah,
for leisure, make others informative.
yes. We write for pleasure. There are poets who write free verses, poems, stories, novels as their hobby. They write those things for their pleasure as well as to spend their leisure. Not only for pleasure, to spend their leisure fruitfully, people write certain things. As well as we write to make others informative, to make others aware, to make others knowledgeable. If we write only, the other people will be able to read. So how do you become a good writer? What are the techniques and what are the strategies that you need to follow to become a good writer? Let's see. Yes, we'll read the introduction to writing strategies.
Good writing doesn't happen by accident. Successful writers use mental procedures to control the production of writing. We call these mental procedures writing strategies.
Mental procedure. How do you pronounce that word? Mental procedure. We call that, means good writing doesn't happen by accident. You know, it is a kind of a process. And in the lesson, we will be learning this process, and we call this mental process, mental procedure, the writing strategies. So let's look at the writing strategies. Yes. Is the topic something you have strong feelings about? If you get a topic, if you are going to write something about a topic which you have strong feelings about, maybe a person whom do you love most, maybe an incident which strikes you most, that means you have first-hand experience, you have authentic experience. In that case, you can write more and more. You can elaborate that incident in a descriptive manner by using lot of words, including your feelings, because you are one of that incident, so that you can describe that incident in detail. As well as if the topic is something you know about, if you are very familiar with that. For instance, if I give you an example, you are going to write something about a plant which you already know about. You may describe the parts of that plant, and you may describe the photosynthesis process, because you are familiar with. If you are familiar with a topic, whatever the topic, maybe in science, maybe in other subjects, if you are familiar, if you are well aware, if you are more informative, you can write more because you have lot of facts. If you have lot of facts, you can describe that incident very well. Without facts, do you think that you will be able to write more and more information based on that? No, it is impossible. And is the topic something you can describe in great detail? It's the same thing. If you have facts and information, data and information, you can elaborate that. That means you can write more and more on that. You can describe in a great detail. But if you are not aware, imagine that you are going to describe something about volcanoes, but you are not familiar with the topic and you have not read about it earlier. Not that you don't know, but just I am getting an example. And if you are given this type of a topic, you will be helpless. To write more and more in a descriptive manner, you should be familiar with the topic. And that topic should be very well appealing to you, a very familiar topic to you. So let's see. Is the topic something your audience will be interested in? If you are writing a piece of writing which is not appealing to your audience, will they read it? No, never. First thing, before writing, you need to understand your audience. Maybe you are speaking to small children. Maybe you are speaking to adults. Maybe women. Right? You need to think of your audience. You should be able to get their attention to your piece of writing. You need to address commonly. Right? In Jathika Rupavahini, nowadays there are very popular program, Sujata Diyani. And look at the audience. That program has different levels of audience. Small children, younger children, even the adults, everybody is interested in. It's the capability of the writer to address different levels of the audience. So you as a writer will be able to get the attraction of the audience. If they don't feel, oh, this is not addressing me, they will lazy to read it. So you need to follow these strategies to become a good writer. Is the topic something your audience will feel was worth reading? Right? If you have all these type of unnecessary ideas, will they feel like reading? No, they will read, they will glance at your piece of writing, then halfway through they will read, then they will throw it away. So your writing is pointless, useless. Why? Your audience has lost the interest. So you need to write something to get the attraction of your audience. To maintain the attraction, you need to follow certain strategies. Let's see the strategies. Yes. In writing processes, there are certain steps that you need to follow. Each stage is very essential. Let's read out the stages. Pre-writing, writing, revising, editing. At this moment, we will talk about all these 4 steps, and there is another steps too, publishing. We'll talk about pre-writing, and in this stage, what are the facts that we should consider before writing on a topic? What are the things, facts that we should consider? Our audience, their level of interest. Will this topic be appealing to you? Likewise, you need to set the background. In writing, at once you won't be able to go on and finish your writing. Again, you will stop your piece of writing. Then again, you will go to the topic. You may change your topic. Then come to the second paragraph. Then you will see the connection. There are certain steps that you need to follow in order to make a good piece of writing. In pre-writing, you need to select a topic. Select a topic which is eye-catching, which is attractive, which is interesting. At the initial level, you need to select a topic which is interesting, appealing, attractive. Depend on the topic, the other factors affect. If the topic is not interesting, people do not tend to read. Determine your audience. Again, the same thing, whether you are addressing the small children, youngsters, adolescents, or women, academics, or some educationists, you need to decide your audience and your purpose. There should be a purpose. Without purpose, I don't think people write. Maybe people write for leisure, pleasure, like people spend their time. They are informative, make them knowledgeable. So we have to have a purpose in our writing. First, select the topic, think of the audience and the purpose. There should be a solid purpose, solid, valid purpose for our writing. And the tone, maybe the tone, the voice. Maybe sometimes people talk angrily, sometimes they like, that means writer's views also affect the writing. Sometimes if the writer look at the, maybe imagine that the writer describe a person. If we write 2 or 3 points negative on that person, we also as readers tend to look at in the same way. So the writer's point of view, writer's attitudes are also very effective in piece of writing. And tense, whether you are using the present tense or else the past tense, the language is also very important. And you need to explore your topic and you need to make a plan. Yes. You need to have a plan before writing. Yes, please read this. How you are going to get ready to write?
Writing is What you do before you write. You choose a topic. You think about what to say. You make a plan. What plan is best for you. You can write notes. You can make an outline. Or you can even make drawings.
Yes, there are certain things that you need to follow before writing. You know, first thing you choose a topic. You think about the topic and the things that you are going to say, and for that you need to have a plan. Also, and you write notes, sometimes you sketch out an outline. Also, sometimes you just draw a picture. You draw your mental picture, then by looking at the picture, you start describing. Different writers follow different ways and strategies. Yes, how do you explore your topic? Once you are given a topic, you brainstorm. Do you know the meaning of brainstorming? Have you ever heard of it? That is a technique. You know, before writing your essay, imagine that you are given a topic like this. A trip I have gone, like my favorite character. Right? My favorite character, maybe the person I like most. You will be getting different topics. If you are to write about a person whom you like most, you need to brainstorm his appearance, his or her appearance, his or her qualities, his or her services done to the society, and the educational background. There are certain things that you come across. And all these points do not come in an order. They do not come in a systematic way. Once you get the topic, what you do is you just go on writing the points. Right? Then only you collect certain information based on certain subheadings. Maybe physical appearance, you list out the words that goes with physical appearance. Then again you list out the words that denote qualities of that particular person. Like you list out the words those tell about his service to the society. And then you decide about the first paragraph. What do you write for the first paragraph, second paragraph, and the last paragraph? Usually the first 2-3 lines in the first paragraphs are very much important, as well as the last 2-3 lines of the paragraph or the article or an essay are really important. There are readers who read the first 2-3 lines and the last 2-3 lines to get the gist of your piece of writing. So that 2-3 lines should be eye-catching as well as attractive. And you free write. You freely list out what you get before write. As well as you cluster. That means you just put in one box. Similar ideas are taken and they are considered in a one box. And you question. Sometimes the writers, they do not go on and on writing. In between, they raise a question to the audience. And sometimes they tend to discuss. And what about your idea if this happens so? Likewise, he invites you for a discussion. And some writers, they sketch out an outline before writing. They have a plan before writing. You also have to have a plan to make it a good piece of writing. Yes, let's see. Please read this.
Ideas are clearly stated, and there are enough of them. The purpose of the piece is clear. The message is clear for the intended audience. The beginning, middle, and the end are clearly indicated, tied together.
Yes. The number 1, it describes the ideas are clearly stated and there are enough of them. In a piece of writing, there should be enough ideas as well as the ideas should be very clear. Because your reader does not know you personally, right? From the way you write, he tends to read. So that to get his attraction, it's up to you to write clearly. If the ideas are vague, that means not clear, he will not go on reading, as well as the reader will be confused. And the next one, the purpose of the piece is clear. You need to look at the topic, your audience, and the purpose. Sometimes when you go on writing and writing, you forget your purpose. Then if the purpose is lost, your writing is pointless. So you need to think of your purpose. The message is clear for the intended audience. Imagine that you are writing to advise them, warn them, or make them aware, make them informative. The message should be clear. If they do not understand the message, again your purpose of writing is lost. So in order to maintain your purpose, you need to pass the message very clearly. The beginning, middle, and the end are clearly, as well as there should be a link between the paragraphs as well as among the ideas. You know, if you write something else in the first paragraph and something totally different from the first in the second paragraph, and the third one is not really showing the connection to the first or even to the second, there is no link, there is no flow. So the reader will be bored. He will not tend to read your piece of writing. Sometimes you have spent hours and hours, days and days of writing. But if they are not clear, if the ideas are vague, your purpose is lost. You will lose the interest of your readers. As students, you are writing to get the attraction of the examiners. If the examiners are losing their interest towards your piece of writing, there is a tendency of getting less marks. So in order to get their attraction, you need to write clearly, systematically, and you need to use attractive words, eye-catching words to maintain their interest. And also, let's look at the process again. First, you need to plan. Once you get a topic, you need to plan out. You need to draft. That means at a stretch you cannot write you need to revise. Although you write at the initial level, you need to revise and you need to do the little bit of editing, as well as you need to do the publishing. Whether you are writing it for a paper, newspaper, to your class magazine, or to the school magazine, or to the newspaper, maybe to the website, you need to follow the initial steps before publishing. When you are going to publish your piece of writing, it should be very clear, no spellings mistake, everything is quite all right. Then only it becomes a good piece of writing. So planning is very essential. Let's see how are you going to plan it out. Yes, Ushani, how do you plan your piece of writing?
Think of the topic, list out the facts, use attractive words, give examples.
Yes, she says at the initial level, she thinks of the topic. The topic should be attractive, eye-catching, interesting. Yes, next.
List out the facts.
Yes, she says that she brainstorms, list out all the facts that comes to her head. Then she think of that is how she plans out. She think of the words, the precise words that are to be used in order to get the attraction of the audience. And also she thinks about the examples to make the reading interesting. Let's see how the other people have planned out the writing process. Steps in writing an essay. Look at the first step. You pre-write. Once the topic is given, you start pre-writing. Then you plan and organize. At the initial level, you do not get systematic ideas systematically. You just collect information, then only you arrange the sentences. Then you start writing, and once you finish your writing, that is your first draft, and later on you read the piece of writing again and you revise and you do little bit of editing. You think of the words. If this word is not appealing, you try to find similar words, and sometimes you try to use uncommon words which are not familiar, and then you try to edit. You do this several times. At a stretch or within one step, you cannot finish this. You read, again you write, again you do the editing. And finally, final draft. Before you publish your final drafts, sometimes you can discuss with your friends. You can get the help of your teacher in doing the editing. Look at the process once again. This clearly shows you the initial level, pre-writing. Next, you plan and organize. The third step is writing the first draft and revising and editing the last final draft. Yes, in planning, what are you going to write about? You need to think. If you write things which are not necessary, not relevant to your topic, people will not read. So, that you need to plan what to write and what not to write. And they should be very specific. And you need to draft your ideas and thoughts together. As well as proofreading. You need to see whether you have done spelling errors, whether you have done some tenses wrong, you have wrong grammar in your piece of writing. You need to do proofreading. If you can't do this by yourself, you can get a help from your friend or else from your teacher. First you plan, then you draft, then you do the proofreading. After that, you can do the editing part. Yes, how do you edit? Please read this.
Is there anything that you could change to make your writing clearer for the reader? Can you add anything to make it sound better?
Yes, once you do the editing, you have to think, can you add anything to make it sound better? Oh, if I have added this list of words, this sounds more. Like you can do changes in this stage. Yes, publishing.
What form are you going to use to present your writing?
Present your ideas. Maybe a summary, maybe a paragraph, maybe in different forms. Yes, let's see. You can publish, you can share your ideas in different ways. Please go through this.
Do you want other people to read your work? Then publish it. Writers share their work in newspapers, magazines, and books. Many writers are publishing on the internet too.
If you want to read your piece of writing by somebody else, you need to publish. Sometimes you tend to write free verses which you do not publish. Sometimes once you are upset or once you are disturbed or once you are worried, you write your feelings. It's good. These feelings sometimes you don't want anybody to read. There you don't publish. But this piece of writing, perhaps your essay, your summary, your formal letter in your GCE advanced level paper, you need to publish. Otherwise, how do these examiners mark it? For the purpose of publishing, you need to write clearly in an organized manner. Those are very essential. Your writing should be very clear and it should be very understanding. It should be understood easily by the examiner. So that make it understanding, you can follow different strategies. Yes, let's look at the process once again to make it very familiar to you. I want to enhance writing strategies thoroughly in your mind. So let's go on. At the initial stage, you do the pre-writing, then you do the drafting, then you do the revising, editing or proofreading, and then you publish. You can publish your article or essay or novel in different ways, in magazines, in newspapers, or in the internet. How do you do the pre-writing? Because we need to go through this more and more in order to make you very clear. How do you pre-write?
Find a topic, brainstorm, organize the information, web's outlines, identify audience, purpose, includes finding and narrowing a topic, as well as organizing the information.
Yes, here I am revising what we have already learned. Once you get a topic, you brainstorm, you organize the information, you web out, or you just draw an outline of what you are going to write, and you have to identify the audience before you start writing. In drafting, yes?
This is the stage in which a writer starts the draft. Group ideas together. Body paragraphs. Create your intro, conclusion. Make sure everything flows.
You know, you need to see the connection. First paragraph, as I told you earlier, first paragraph, second paragraph, and the third paragraph, your piece of writing should flow. There should be a flow. If not, the reader will bored. They will not read the whole piece of writing. So let's see, in the point of editing, what are the things that you can do? Yes?
This is the writing stage in which you correct grammar and mechanical errors in writing. Homophones, homonyms, subject, verb agreement, pronoun, antecedent agreement, correct contractions, double negatives, punctuation, commas, semicolons, etc.
In editing, there are certain things that you need to do. You need to correct your grammar. You need to see the homophones. Homophones means words which give the same sounds. And also subject-verb agreement. Your grammar should be correct. And the pronouns and your punctuation marks. You need to consider the writing mechanism. And also, in revising, you need to, yes?
Check or draft. Choose words that phrase precise.
Precise words. Precise words. That means if you have written a rather lengthy paragraph, having lot of words, unnecessary words, you can use 2-3 meaningful words in order to make it very precise. Make it very short, but it has the total idea. That is a condensed passage. Condensed. Rather than having rather lengthy sentences, you can use specified words to make it precise. Yes?
Engaging and powerful.
Arrange ideas in a smooth, logical format. That again I need to tell you that you need to have a flow in your piece of writing. You need to maintain the flow. Improve your sentences and variety of sentences patterns. And how are you going to publish it? We discussed that you can publish in the school magazine, class magazine, local newspapers, and the magazines, whatever. What else? In the internet too. You rewrite your paper. Before publishing, you need to consider certain things. You need to correct your mistakes. You need to correct your spellings before publishing your piece of work. These are the resources, or these are the areas where you can publish your things. Internet, school newspapers, which we have already discussed. And after writing, you need to reflect on what you have written, right? Maybe that is your first writing, and you need to think back. You need to reflect on what you have written, whether your piece of writing is interested by the audience. Was the piece interesting to read? Were the purpose and the audience clear? Did the opening sentence or paragraph hook the reader? That means attracted the reader. Were the ideas clearly expressed and logically organized, methodically, systematically? Were the ideas organized in a proper way? Were the paragraphs and sentences easy to understand and there is a flow? Yes, this is the summary of what we have discussed so far. So please go on reading this.
Was the piece interesting to read? Were the purpose and audience clear? Did the opening sentence or paragraph hook the reader? Were the ideas clearly expressed and logically organized? Were the paragraphs and sentences easy to understand and follow?
And also, were there enough ideas, examples or supporting details?
Did the piece end a satisfying or logical manner? Did the writer achieve the purpose?
Yes, you need to think back. You need to reflect on what you have written. If you have lost your purpose, your writing was, what can you say? Pointless. If there is no reader for you, your purpose is lost. To maintain the reader's attention, at the beginning, you need to think of the topic, you need to think of your audience, their likes and dislikes, and you need to use attractive words in order to get their attraction, and you can use examples. What else can you do? Yes, you can use pictures. You can follow different modes in making your piece of writing interesting. I hope that today's lesson on writing strategies will be beneficial in your GCE A-level examination, as you have to write an essay, a formal letter, as well as a summary. These strategies will be surely beneficial to become a good writer. Hope to meet you again in the future with this type of new lessons. Have a good day. Ayubowan.